Hi guys, welcome to Post to the Call. My name is Stephen Dawes, and today I'm going to be talking about the Arsenal game. Now, for anyone who was hoping for some kind of bounce back after the sacking of Patrick Vieira, unfortunately that didn't happen, and I'm going to go into the reasons why I think that didn't happen in a little bit. But first of all, I'm going to talk about the lineups, and we had Whitworth back in goal again, obviously because Gator still has this injury problem. We don't have any other goalkeepers that are fit at the moment, or even at the club. So Whitworth came back into goal for us. We had Mitchell, Gahey, Tompkins, and Ward. Tompkins came in for Klein, who was on the bench. No, sorry, Ward came in for Klein, who was on the bench. Tompkins came in for Anderson, who during the game warm up suffered a calf injury. Now, Paddy McCarthy has said that he's not sure how bad that is at the moment, and they're going to be assessing him and seeing how bad that is. Hopefully, it won't be anything that will keep him out for too long, because obviously he's one of our big assets at the back there. Just ahead of them was Doucouré and Luca. The reason why Luca was in there is because Lokonga can't play because he's on loan from Arsenal. He can't play against Arsenal in the Premier League, so that's why Luca was brought in. And ahead of them was Zaha, Schlupp, and Elise. Had Zaha out on the left, which is where he used to be. Schlupp in the middle, Elise out on the right, and up front we had Edouard. Now, on paper, that's not necessarily a bad team. I think you've got Zaha in perhaps his more natural position out there on the left, Elise on the right. You've got Edouard up front, who is a lot of people say he should be playing more often. He should be starting regularly. Um, you've got Doucouré and Luca in the middle, two battling midfielders that you think would be good to have in the team there. But formation wise, very similar to how Vieira would have set it up, kind of an inverted Christmas tree type of thing. So from that point of view, it wasn't too bad. I don't think, considering the situation, considering the injuries, considering the fact we couldn't have Lokonga, considering the fact that we had players out for other reasons as well. I think it was quite a good team to put out. Personally speaking, I don't think I would have put Luca in there, but that's how it is. Will Hughes, was in the team and did come on later on in the game, but maybe he still wasn't 100% fit. I don't know. We don't know about James McArthur either, whether he was 100% fit or not. So it may have just been the best situation he had at the time. And certainly with the Anderson injury, McCarthy said that he wanted to bring in some experience, which of course Tompkins does have a lot of experience. So he thought that would be a good thing to do. And to start off with, I think we started really well. Just as we did against Brighton, we started really well. We had good a good go at Arsenal early on in the game, and there was a fantastic strike by Zaha, which hit the post, ricocheted out off the keeper, and then away. It was one of those that any other day that would have ricocheted in the goal, but it just ricocheted off the keeper, off Ramsdale, and out and away, which is a big shame because I think if we'd have gone 1-0 up, that could have potentially caused a little bit of a different to the end result. But unfortunately, it didn't go in, and that's when things started to turn for us, and Arsenal started to enforce their game plan on us. And around about 20 minutes was when the first goal went in, and I think from that point on we looked a little bit despondent, a little bit out of energy, a little bit out of ideas, really. To be fair, I think that we were trying to be a bit more attacking minded. We were trying to work the ball a bit better than I think we had in recent days, but we still lacked a bit of a plan, a bit of an idea of what to do. We lacked a bit of structure, and we lacked, I think, a little bit of fitness as well. I think we were, a little bit slower than Arsenal in many ways. Again, we weren't closing down very quickly, and it just seemed to be a little bit laboured for us, really, which is a bit of a shame because, Paddy McCarthy, I think, obviously, you can't rest this on his shoulders. He's had very, very little time to prepare the team for this game against Arsenal. I think he's basically just said, look, do what you would have done under Vieira. We'll change a couple of things over. We'll put in some new ideas. But at the end of the day, we just got to go out there and do what we can. I think that's basically all he could do. He hasn't had much time at all to spend with the players. I know he's a coach at the club, and so he would know the players and know how they play. But as to be an actual manager and given the final decisions, he hasn't done that. So he's had very little time to organise the team and to put them into any kind of winning strategy. And then the goals started to go in after that. Unfortunately, I thought that we were going to be able to defend a bit better than we were. I think obviously we missed Anderson a huge amount. I think we missed that that link that he and Gahey have. I think perhaps Klein would have been a better choice than Joel Ward, perhaps, but that's just my personal opinion. I can't base it up on any particular figures, but I think Klein maybe would have been a better choice than Joel Ward. But it's one of those things where it's very difficult to, to say anything about the game in terms of, it's this fault or this person's fault. I don't think it is necessarily. I think that, the players may well have been upset that Patrick Vieira was got rid of so quickly. The players may have been a little bit unsure of what to do because they're coming up with this very big game against Arsenal. They've got very little time to prepare with a new interim manager, and and I think the whole situation is just a little bit of a perfect storm, and it caused, unfortunately, us to concede 4 goals against Arsenal. It's not all doom and gloom. We did, I think, at times put in some very good attacking chances. We scored a goal, Jeffrey Stupp, from a very good corner from Elise. Elise in previous games have been sending the corners along to Anderson. Obviously Anderson isn't there, so he put the corner in right on top of the goalkeeper, and that was a really good strategy. Schlupp was able to get in there and get the goal, get in there and get his foot on the end of it, which is great. And I think that it was good that he was able to do that. That was then 3-1. Unfortunately, Arsenal then went on to score a 4th goal, which kind of put the game to bed a little bit. But yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that this happened. And really, I don't think that we can learn anything from this game as it stands. I think now, the next few weeks, obviously, or the next couple of weeks, where we're going to have the international break, the club have really got to try and think about what they're going to do. Are they going to keep Paddy McCarthy as interim manager for another couple of weeks? Are they going to try and get somebody else in as an interim manager to the end of the season? That's going to be hard to do. You've got to have some kind of relegation clause in there because of the situation that we're in at the moment. It might just be an interim manager that's going to be coming in to the end of the season. Then they're going to look at it in the summer. That could be the way they're going to go with it. I don't think that. There's been a lot of talk about Roy Hodgson coming in to help us out. I don't think he should. That's not because I don't think he's a good manager or because I think he's no good or anything like that, or he's too old or any of that kind of thing. I just think that he's had his time as manager. I think that it wouldn't be necessarily a good idea for him to come back. I think we need different ideas. I think we need fresh ideas. We need a different setup. We need someone who's going to come in and say, right, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. Get the players back into some kind of some kind of formation, some kind of plan in place, and so that they know what they're doing when they get on that pitch. Because I think at times over the last couple of days, and it was evident today, the players almost didn't know what they were doing, and that's a real shame, because I think that when you look at the players on paper, we've got a team there that can win, and it's just the way this it's not happening at the moment. Things aren't gelling, things aren't clicking, and we need someone to come in there with some new ideas, not some kind of grand change of formation or change of strategy like other managers have. Just someone who's going to come in, get the basics right, and say, right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get the basics right. We're going to go in there and do it. Obviously, Paddy McCarthy had a huge problem with injuries and with players being uneligible. And I think that if things had been different, if we'd have been able to play Lokonga, if we'd have been able to play Anderson, it could have been a very different game. It really could. It could have been a very different game. I know lots of people on Twitter are saying that Vieira. Some people are saying Vieira shouldn't have gone so early. Some people are saying he should have gone earlier. I think to be fair, yeah, we are hovering points wise quite close to the bottom 3, but I do think we've had a really hard run of games this season, and we've had problems that have been glaringly obvious, and I think that this goes beyond Patrick Vieira. I think this goes up to the board. I think when you look at the the January transfer windows, when you look at last summer, yeah, we did bring in some players to help us out, but it wasn't the kind of quality that we wanted. We didn't bring in the players we needed. We needed a striker. We didn't bring one in. We tended to keep going for the midfielders all the time, and I think that a lot of people blamed Vieira for that, but I think actually some of that is down to the scouts and the coaches who you know, and the board who was like, no, we can't afford a striker, but we'll give you a midfielder, or you know, this person's too expensive, that person's too expensive. And you know, obviously at the club you've got to understand this is a situation. They want to try and keep the club afloat. They don't want to end up as it was back in 2010. But you know, we've got to try and do something about it. You know, we either have to bring in some young players who we know are good and just do it that way, or we need to invest. And I think either way we've got to do it fast before things become too precarious for us, and we get to the point where we can't easily come back from it. Anyway, I didn't mean this to be a bit of a rant video, but that's how it turned out. So overall, disappointed with the result. Obviously, not a good result for us, but I think Arsenal are a very good team. They're flying at the moment, and I think it was just one of those things where we met them at the wrong time. Not that there's ever a right time, but we just met them at the wrong time, and therefore this is what happened. But as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the game. I'd love to hear your thoughts on a potential replacement for Vieira, and anything else that you have to talk about. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section as always, and I'll see you again soon.